¿Qué pedo, puro pinche gol, fam? Welcome back to the podcast. Um, Today we're doing a reaction to Mexico's win. Very narrow win. I don't know if it's narrower than the one against República Dominicana, but a very narrow and boring win, 2-0 against Suriname. A Mexican team that continues to be very looks continues to be look shoddy, to look very um, I don't know how to say it, guys. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It's not meshing well. It doesn't look like they're gelling. It doesn't look like they are, comfortable on the pitch. It doesn't look like they are understanding exactly what El Vasco Aguirre wants them to do. Um, I continue to see the same mistakes that I saw against República Dominicana. Very poor passes in the middle. Uh, Attacking players trying to drop the ball and just losing it completely shortly after passing them in the half line. Um, Mexico struggling to contain attacks of fast paced players and also struggling when the pressure hits them and they're unable to build from the back, which I don't know why Vasco Aguirre tries to do that. It's not his style. That's not what he used to do. He's used to being more of a what we call a cavernicola, right? Just basically defending as much as you can, finding a break, and then trying to exploit on the counter attack because that's what El Vasco Aguirre has been doing pretty much his entire career. Even though I've been praising him for being fluid and showing um, some sort of strategy mind when facing different oppositions, right? Going from a back five to 4-4-2, whatever the case may be, whatever I've been saying, I just nothing really changed in this match. It was the same with the small difference that this time around Suriname no traía la puntería tan acertada como República Dominicana la tuvo en el partido anterior. Entonces, la verdad es que no hay mucho que decir. Yo batallé mucho para mantenerme despierto en este partido. The first 45 minutes were honestly a waste of my time because it was a very tough match to watch. I struggle. Listen, I am not a guy who has. I don't have a TikTok. I don't really use social media. So for me, it isn't like I'm watching anything else. I'm actually sitting down and watching the game. I'm watching the match. I'm actually paying attention to it. And boy, I struggled to sit down still and just enjoy the game because it was very. It was. I don't know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments below. But to me, this wasn't enjoyable. And it just also kind of sucks too that you have the Club World Cup happening earlier during the day. And so, don't get me wrong, there's been a couple of matches on the Club World Cup that I'm like, all right, this is boring as hell. Against, look, for example, today's Manchester City game was boring, extremely boring. Manchester City, listen, I think Pep Guardiola is cooked, but this is not a podcast about European football or the Premier League. But I think Pep Guardiola is completely done. You can tell like he's completely burnt out. Anyways, and then you had the Real Madrid game that was also a disaster. It was a boring ass game. Um, and then lastly, Juventus just pretty much demolishing this other small team that I don't even know how to pronounce its name. But it wasn't necessarily a great um, a round of matches in the morning, but they were slightly better than what we just saw between Mexico and Suriname. It was definitely better. So when you go and see, matches like, for example, yesterday that we saw Monterrey against Inter de Milan, which was a very good game, then you come to see this, you're like, dude, come on. The drop in quality is just significant. It's outstanding. It's just quite evident that this is just a downgrade of not only performance and quality, but also just entertainment, right? So, all things aside, um, given said that, not a great match for Mexico, but they did what they had to do, which was win this match and go into the last game of this group phase round and trying to see if they can either handle Costa Rica and win so they can go with all 9 points into the next phase, or at least settle with a tie and hope that um, that they can move on as number one in the group. I don't know what's the difference, the goal difference right now in the group. Let me check real quick because I do want to say that I think. All right, so right now, this is how the group is. It's as of this moment, Mexico and Costa Rica have both 6 points. The goal difference is that Mexico has 3 goals difference and Costa Rica has a 2 goal difference. So even if they tie nil nil or 1-1 or 2-2, doesn't really matter. If they tie, period, Mexico will move on to the next stage as the number one. Costa Rica has to win against Mexico if they want to move on as number one into the next phase. So we'll see if we continue to see all these small inoperability mistakes that Mexico keeps making in the midfield. They are they are consistently failing at making seamless offensive drives or defense to offense transitions. It's just it's not there yet, and I don't know why. I just cannot find the reasonable explanation as to why this is happening, but it is happening. And it isn't like El Vasco is trying something new because for this match, he came out with, again, a 4-4-2 formation like we saw against República Dominicana. The only changes here is that instead of having Santi Jimenez, he had Julian Quiñones. Um, and I do want to say that on the previous match, Alexis Vega didn't start. Hold on, let me check real quick. Look, listen, the producer, who is yours truly, should have all this information readily available, but I decided to not have it readily available because whatever, right? And I was right. Alexis Vega did not start last match. It was Aurelien Pineda with Eric Lira. This time around, the changes were Israel Reyes started as a right back, not a center back. This is what we discussed during a preview episode of the Gold Cup for Mexico. Is that Israel Reyes was going to be a crucial sub because he can play as a center back or a right back depending on the situation. I think El Vasco decided to prioritize defensive order this match over the previous one, knowing that Suriname is a faster paced team with more pressing. So he would definitely prefer to have a defensive minded right back than Jorge Sanchez or Julian Araujo, who are more prone to be on the offensive and complement, in this case, El Piojo Alvarado going forward. The other change was Eric Lira was benched and Marcel Ruiz started, which I think is a positive out of this match. There's probably two positives here, which I think is Marcel Ruiz definitely needs to start for Mexico because he is a very strong box to box midfielder. Of course, Edson Alvarez is the box to box defensive minded midfielder, but the cool thing about Marcel Ruiz, which I enjoyed watching, this is perhaps one of the few things that I liked of this match, is that he has the ability to come in as the third nine behind, in this case, Julian Quiñones and Raúl Jiménez for this match. So I think Marcel Ruiz should continue to start for Mexico. And the other change here is, as I said, Orbelin Pineda was benched ahead of Alexis Vega, and lastly, Santi Jimenez got benched ahead of Julian Quiñones, starting as the second number 9. So yeah, I mean, again, listen, it's again a 4-4-2 formation, small changes like Johan Vasquez in, but all these changes are like are hombre por hombre. No es como que está haciendo un cambio significativo donde usa Israel Reyes como tercer central y hace dos carrileros con el Piojo Alvarado y Jesús Gallardo. No lo está haciendo. Entonces, no es una estructura de cambio en la formación. Sigue siendo lo mismo que presentó contra República Dominicana, contra Turquía y contra, creo que Suiza. Y también lo que presentó contra Estados Unidos en la Nations League y contra Canadá. Entonces, I just cannot explain why it just feels like the players are not comfortable with this formation. Yes, they won 2-0. And if you look at the stats, you would think that Mexico pretty much was, the dominant force on this match. And I guess you can say yes because they had 15 shots, none of them on target, 63% possession, 5 corners out of the 5 corners, 2 were the goals. That's César Montes' score to get his tally up to 4 goals with Mexico in like 60 something matches, which is pretty decent for a defender. But if you pay attention to the match, if you sat down like myself and bored yourself to death, like I did, because I don't know, I guess I hate myself in a way. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Again, the these two matches for Mexico should have been, or at least what we expected to be, like some statement wins, right? Pretty much demolishing the Dominican Republic, destroying Suriname, and then getting into a comfortable state against Costa Rica so you can secure that first spot. The game against República Dominicana wasn't easy, and it goes to show how, and I can only speak for myself, how ignorant I am towards uh, the improvement of some of these nations in CONCACAF in terms of football, right? Soccer, whatever you are. Um, and it just goes to show that they have made, you know, they are leaps and bounds better than what Mexico has been able to improve over the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years, whatever you want to call it. So no one expected La República Dominicana to be that tough. No one expected Suriname to be this difficult, even though it's a mainly, um, I guess, Dutch team, right? Because of Suriname's ties with Netherlands. But no one expected it to be this physical, this aggressive, this tough, right? And so now you're gonna face Costa Rica in a state where you know that whatever you're trying to do is not working. That teams are neutralizing pretty much all of your ways to capitalize and make goals. And the fact that you're going to be facing a team that has El Piojo Herrera as someone who you can say is an expert on Mexican football, because he was the coach of Mexico not so long ago, maybe like 11 years ago. And he also coached in Liga MX, which we all know that this Mexico side is a heavily based Liga MX team. Um, so now you're going to be in that position where he's going to be all out attacking relentlessly, putting you against the line. So you're going to have you're now going to have to be able to exploit those open spaces that El Piojo is going to leave, because he's gonna want to win. Like, he's gonna be in it to make Mexico suffer, because maybe he has a personal vendetta, whatever the case may be. And of course, he wants to win, but I don't see how El Vasco Aguirre can take advantage of that. At least I didn't see it on these last four matches. I have yet to witness them exploiting in counterattack the open space that the opposition is leaving. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what El Vasco Aguirre prepares for next match. I don't think we're gonna see um, Guillermo Ochoa playing for Mexico. It doesn't make sense. And also, you need to make sure that Luis Angel Malagon feels like the starting goalkeeper for Mexico. So why would you make that change? Um, I think he'll probably will have the same formation once again, 4-4-2. Maybe a couple of changes here, starting Santi Jimenez over Julian Quiñones. Uh, maybe starting Orbelín Pineda over Alexis Vega. I don't know. We'll see. Some small rotation. And yeah, we hope to see Mexico winning against Costa Rica. If they tie, they move on as the first place, which is fine, which is expected, which is what we want. But yeah, man, listen, I would like to have more things to say about this match, but unfortunately, I don't. So I'm just gonna stop here, and you know, thank you for your time. Please drop a like, turn on the notifications, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes there. And drop a comment below. Let me know, what are your thoughts. Do you think Mexico improved to what you saw against República Dominicana? Do you think um, Marcel Ruiz should continue to start for Mexico? What are your thoughts on Mexico taking advantage of the set pieces, which is another positive of this match, that Mexico took advantage of set pieces? And it seems that Mexico is now making something out of set pieces, because it's been a while. Even before the times of Tata Martino, Diego Coca, and Jimmy Lozano, set pieces were like nothing. pretty much a non-existent thing for Mexico. And now it seems that El Vasco Aguirre is training them a lot, practicing them a lot, which is fine, is great. You have a couple of top players that you can take advantage of, specifically, I guess, here in CONCACAF against smaller oppositions, maybe not against the USMNT or Canada, or definitely not a big European team. But yeah, I guess it's nice to see that. I guess 2 goals. Mexico was able to open the gridlock with 2 set pieces, which a few months ago, a few couple years ago, we would have never felt confident that Mexico can make something out of it. But yeah, let me know if you think the set pieces that El Vasco Aguirre is now trying are working, and if you like them or not. And also, just let me know who was the MVP of this match. This is it for today, guys. I hope to see you in the next one. We'll be here Sunday, June 22nd, to do a reaction after Mexico's match against Costa Rica, the last game of this group phase, to move on to the next round in the Gold Cup. And I'm thinking of doing a recap of the first round of games of the Club World Cup to see how the Mexican teams did and what's coming for them. But I'll see. I think Monterrey plays on Saturday, so I have to do tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. I keep you posted. Subscribe, hit the like button. You'll see if we have a video or not. Deuces.